My name is Blake Collins, and we're going to talk about online dating, texting, and sexting. Let these folks introduce themselves, and we'll start with my left.
Hello, my name is Jamie Sapp.
I'm Jessica Sager.
I'm Rachel Reed.
I'm Taylor Rodriguez.
And I'm Leandria Holiday.
So you guys, I was wondering about this online dating phenomenon going on.
Well, we all know we've been watching Catfish and stuff. You know, they have a new season coming on. And I'm not gonna lie, the first few episodes have been very boring. And they're getting repetitive now because I feel like a lot of people are hot on the topic of catfishing and knowing that everyone that online may not be who they say they are. But this last episode was super interesting because the people contacted Catfish and they were like, oh, I've never met her before for these last 5 years and I need to meet her. You know, the whole sob story that's normal for Catfish. Turns out, after they do all this investigating, they looked through her Facebook messages and she actually knew the girl. They had Uvu'd and everything like that, and they had really made up this whole story about how she thought she was being catfished, and they really just wanted to meet each other because they were in love. And so the hosts were like, oh man, we got catfish, like, you know, we got lied to. But they ended up letting them meet, and there was like this whole cute love story, and they were all excited about it. But I just thought it was really interesting because there was finally a twist to the story.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I feel like Catfish is kind of getting repetitive just because everyone's knowing what it is now.
Yeah. Well, it's all very new to me because I've actually never heard of this show. So, what is it? Yeah, what's catfishing? Gosh. Okay, so just going to explain that.
It's a show on MTV where people try to get help in finding people that they've been dating online. And through that, they have the host, who's me, to help them find their partners through online dating websites.
And most of the time, meet them for the first time.
Yes, and for the majority of the time, it usually would be people that they never expected to meet. And there's
Someone ugly.
No, there was one episode where this girl thought she was dating this other girl online, and they went to her house and turned out that she had just turned 18 like 2 months before that. She was like 26, like really girl. She was all upset because she was pretty much dating a juvenile. It was so funny.
One girl thought she was dating with a Bow Wow.
Yeah.
Because apparently the person was sending her a lot of money or whatever. Turns out that it was a female who tried to look like a Bow Wow.
Yeah, and she really. But they ended up talking to her.
They ended up, with this weird, so, you know, she's a little bit confused. But, you know, it's not my business. So basically, there's someone they want to get in touch with the person they've been online dating, and that's difficult for them to do, and they get in touch. The hosts help them connect.
And that was helping.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, but one aspect of online dating that I absolutely infuriates me is the fact that both people who are prospecting online dating have feelings involved, and they're openly vulnerable, putting their emotions and their feelings out there. And a lot of times they get hurt, and it changes their whole mentality on dating at that point, because, you know, as we hit on earlier, you don't necessarily know who you're talking to.
Right.
So it's putting yourself out there and faith in something that you don't necessarily know who's on the other side. So I think the feelings with me and the openness for the vulnerability of it, yes, it has a very fruitful lesson in the makings of online dating, and especially on the other side. But when you're in something like that, it's just, to me, the vulnerability that each person puts into that can do an exorbitant amount of damage to that person's psyche. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on what you guys have seen and what you got, if you guys have done any online dating, what you guys have experienced noting to that point.
I mean, I think there should be like some type of boundary when you are talking to someone that's never met before online. I don't think you should be telling the whole life story or in really personal detail, because, like you said, like you don't really know who you're talking to. So when you get catfish,
I'm against online dating. I mean, well, I don't
I
want to do that.
never.
I want to do that if someone else do that. Hey, but what is the point of online dating if you cannot show that person who you are? Granted, some people lie, okay? Some people try to come across as this other person. However, how can you really put a limit on saying, oh, I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna make these people say that they can only say this much about themselves, when the point of online dating is to date that person.
I think it's a good thing to. You have this whole phenomenon of all these online dating websites. We were talking earlier. You have your farmers meet, your Christians meet, your black
Christians mingle.
So you have all these things to facilitate conversations.
Facebook.
I mean, and that's like regular social media too. It's not just
Right.
like those. It's like
And-
Facebook,
Right, exactly. But-
Instagram.
Right, and you have all these websites to facilitate these encounters and to force each other to get to know each other, right? And get to know each other, and that's the point of getting on the website.
Right.
But then you get into all of your catfish episodes. They didn't start on any of these websites. They start on Facebook. They start on Instagram.
Yeah.
They started on MySpace. Some of them were that far back. And
Take it back.
so
Don't come.
so you can try to, regulate and all that stuff. At the end of the day, people are going to find a way to meet each other. So I think it comes to the point where, okay, maybe I'll talk to someone online that I've never met before for like a few months. And be like, oh, he's interesting. I would never commit myself because I don't know anything about that.
I
Right?
can do it.
But and that's the thing for me. But maybe I would even be uncomfortable trying to go meet them. You see what I'm saying? If that person was in California, I'm not about to fly all the way to California to go meet this person. So I think it's just personal preference. But I think there's a lot more risk to online dating than there is to just dating in real life.
And see, that culpability embarked on trust issues, not necessarily then, but on down the line. Because let's say you do go out and you do meet this person. Well, this person could potentially turn out okay, but then at the same time, as pointed to on a lot of the catfish shows you do watch, and I've seen an episode or two, but they turn out to be the complete opposite of what you're thinking. Not only that, but then you're also taking into an account too that the person on the other side could be putting up a fake profile picture, could be a kidnapper, could be a molester, or anything like that. You don't really know. So to me, just the fact that you're putting yourself out there and you're trusting something that you feel that connection with that other person, whether it be through the actual text of the online dating or whatnot, they're telling you what they want you to know. A lot of times they don't tell you the truth. If you get somebody honest, then that's one thing, but that's like 1 out of 10. So, but my thing to that is I don't necessarily trust it because of the vulnerability instituted in and the culpability. Not only that, but the person who is doing the online dating can instantly have their whole reputation defamed out of the process.
Absolutely. There was one episode of Catfish where they literally started going and catfishing this girl because they were mad at her, right? And they ruined her reputation, and then they literally just went into the whole community and just started this whole havoc. And it was just one person and made like 10 different profiles and just started throwing around rumors and stuff. And that's crazy. You do have your percentage where people end up all happy and keep a little relationship, and that's cool and all. But
If
that's
you
a
want
little
to
bit
make
too
that
much risk
risk,
for me.
if you want to make that risk, you'd be great. You'd be great on your
I mean,
own.
and it worked out for some people. You know,
Yeah,
like,
some people Skype or whatever.
some people on Black People Meet,
ChristianMingle.com.
or what, Farmers Meet.
Farmers meet.
Some people, there's that happy couple, but
eHarmony.
eHarmony.
Those commercials be fake.
I was about to-
No,
I was about to
those
say,
commercials are not real.
Yeah, well, I'd love to get you two ladies' opinions too on this matter.
Well, I was going to say, you're talking about the emotional and physical vulnerability.
Right.
Both of those can exist in real relationships.
Right.
And have your heart broken just as easily by a physical.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But one really damaging thing that I think online dating does to our society and to people's mentalities is, we live in a world where things are so digital, where so few things are real. And I've never done online dating, but I see the commercials for Zeus and stuff. I get the impression we can log in and say, okay, I want a husband and 5 kids, or say, okay, I want a one-night stand. And I think it's insane to have like more, to have almost like drive-through relationships, like having websites where you can say, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Because if you have this, if you don't have much dating experience, you're good at what you do, and say, well, this is exactly what I want, you're not going to learn enough to know what you really do want, and there's not really spontaneity, because if you do traditional dating, you don't know what that other person wants, and that's part of the fun is getting to know each other and not knowing where it's going to go. Whereas with online dating, it seems like very specific. Okay, I want a husband.
Right, check,
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, exactly. And that really, it bothers me that we're taking out that spontaneity and that mystery of life and just making it another thing you can order off of Amazon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And like with mentioning social connection, you know, we do email and texting and that sort of thing. And you know, if we do that too constantly, then it becomes an issue where it's like we connect to these people who are online dating. It's like it really doesn't matter when you meet the person. It's just like, oh, you know everything about them and this sort of thing, and then it's just like, oh, well, that reports. And like, you know, there should be a balance. If you know, although you may see these people online, you know, still have that connection to meet these people and call instead of just texting, because sometimes calling is better than just texting and email and just do that.
So how long would y'all wait until, like, if y'all were, like, online somewhere trying to date somebody, how long would y'all wait until y'all actually wanted to meet them?
3, 4 months, 5.
Because, you know, like, some people have catfish been, like, in
Years.
relationships, like,
10 years. No, like legit.
years. How long would y'all wait?
If you wait too long, then you're holding yourself back, right? Because you don't really know. There's too much.
If they were local, I wouldn't. I mean, I would meet somewhere I felt safe meeting them right away.
And I would be by myself.
Absolutely. Group date.
Yes.
Or somewhere, like, kind of like what you said, like, somewhere in public, like.
Yeah. You're not coming to my house.
And see, that's another thing too. A lot of times you have, especially with the games that are played with online dating, sexting, texting, or what have you not. There's so many games that are played with. It's like a cat and mouse type game. Like one person reaches a gun and says, "Okay, let's meet here." Then a day before that, they say, "Oh, I can't," and there's some excuse to that. To me, these games that are attached to this, now it's in the physical form, it's in person too. But to me, I'd much rather meet somebody in person and then get to know them in person, because I at least see them, I can at least connect with them on a level that is not through just words on a screen and something like that. So, but just for everybody here, I would like to venture over to some of the games that are played through all of these avenues that we're talking about, because a lot of these are visceral games too.
Well, when I was in middle school, I was probably in like 7th or 8th grade, and me and my friend were bored one day, I guess, and so we decided to make a fake profile. It was a fake MySpace, and we really did. And you know, we were young, we were just messing around, and
I was being grown.
right, we were trying to be grown, and we made friends with one of our friends that we knew, right, and started talking to him and stuff, and it was so funny to us. It was hilarious, and it lasted about literally probably like 12 hours before we told him, because it was just like overnight, and then the next day we were like, by the way, that was a big profile. But it's almost surreal looking back to how easy it was, because it was just like, all right, let me pull a couple photos from Google. All right, cool, got a profile picture. Oh, she's a model. Oh yeah, she's in California or whatever I want her to be. And there she was, and he was like, oh yeah, she's hot. Just talking to her like it was nothing. And yeah, looking back, it was probably the best thing ever, but it didn't last that long. Like I said, we were young, but yeah, right. But he thought it was funny in the end of the day. But yeah, it's really easy to do, and it's kind of creepy how
Yeah,
easy it
it's
is.
crazy of how easy it is, like, steal someone else's pictures. I know one person that, someone kind of catfished their Facebook page.
Like, took their pictures?
Took their picture. And I know her in, cause she's from my hometown, but she moved to Atlanta. And so someone else, I don't know how, but from the Atlanta area, just took her picture and was just like, different name. And I was like picture, not just like one profile
Yeah.
picture, but like,
Their whole profile.
Yeah.
In there.
Right.
So I have a question, and you guys, let's make this like, I just need y'all to just really let's relax on this one because I need some honesty and just some opinions, okay? Don't give me no statistics or anything. But what do y'all feel about texting and sexting, honestly?
This is a real question.
Now this is real because y'all know, and I know some of y'all. Okay. But no, really, what do y'all think about that? Because this is something that happens every day. Every day at night, we're grown, come on. At school, in class. Like, how do y'all feel, like, how do you think sexting happens?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to have, especially if you look at the online dating, right? If you're dating online, you have no other way to see each other, then you're like, well, yeah, I can see you, right? Like,
Now you can see it.
and that's a really easy way to do it, just because you can send pictures now through Snapchat. They erase,
Yep.
they erase.
Right. Let me tell you, those pictures are not gone.
I forget somebody screenshot it though.
Right.
And you know if someone screenshots it. Okay.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. Okay, follow me here. I'm gonna make at least
I
2 or
see
3
you
points.
drawing on the table.
But okay,
What's
first
up?
of all, when you I don't sext at all.
You ain't
But
gotta lie.
I don't. Not
Wearing
at all.
your suit and
I
your
don't.
hair
But
slicked back.
I have because my best friend has been through this too, and so this is how I know this. But when you do sex and it goes to the wrong phone or goes to the wrong person. Well, here's the thing. Not only that, but
You're a liar.
no, here's the thing. It can literally cost you your career.
You're right.
Not only that,
You
but
want to be a doctor or
to
something?
the thing we're talking about. A lot of times you're dealing with two different mindsets because as we all know, guys and girls have very different mindsets. The dichotomy between the two minds,
Yeah.
it's the X factor, but a lot of times too, especially with and from a guy's point of view, when it comes to this kind of stuff, there are some times when there is temptation by a girl sending out a picture that is not appropriate over the airwaves, that it ventures into them having sex when they're not supposed to, or when when it goes into rape or something like that. And then it also could lead into a person getting kidnapped or something like that. So there's a lot of disadvantages and taking advantages when it comes to sexting that is very, very dangerous. And
I think that I can see all that, like if you're sexting a stranger. But I think a majority of people, like even in our generations or in younger generations, that sex their boyfriend because they think it's cool, or they do that and that. And I don't necessarily think it turns into this whole thing of rape or kidnapping or anything like that. But it can turn into, hey, I'm going to show my buddy, and now your boobs are all over the school.
why even take that chance?
Exactly.
That's my thing.
And there's been at least, when I was in high school, I was not even a sophomore, 14 years old, right? There's no lie of 3 or 4 girls that I know that got their photos posted around the school, printed out and posted around the school.
Who does that?
It shit happened. And so I think it becomes a thing of,
Were they black or white?
I never saw them. They took them down way before that. But she was really upset and had to leave school, and she got in trouble because one of her boobs all over the place. And then obviously they tried to figure out who posted them. But I think that's where it comes into where you never know where they're going.
Exactly, and it also could go into a point too, to where technically people scour the internet and stuff, and pictures are posted on the internet, and look at some of these wackos that have like these child pornography rings and stuff like that. So you never know where this stuff is going, and I just think if it's to protect the person itself, if it's boyfriend and girlfriend, why not just meet in person and do that instead of sending it over a phone to where there could be a chance to where you could be in danger or something like that, because you're talking about your own life at this
To
point.
argue, the one place I can imagine being appropriate would be, because I'm an Army grad.
Right.
Well, this is absolutely.
Yeah, would be if, you know, if your husband or wife is posted on another continent and you're not seeing each other for 6
Yeah.
months. If,
It's okay, baby. I'll take care of you tonight.
if you're married to if you've been in a long committed relationship and they're in the military or whatever, and there's a very long time of
Then
separation.
it's okay to, you
Then
know,
I can see that happening. I've never been in a relationship like that, but I can understand why people would do it in that situation.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I think it starts with people just trying to be like, you know, risky and trying to have fun.
Spontaneous,
Yeah.
different.
And they send it to people.
What you
that-
say, make a little sizzle in the sizzler?
Yes.
I didn't know where you were going with that, but okay.
And they try to send it to someone that they think they can trust, and then it turns out like once the breakup happens or
It's all
Now,
over.
right.
Oh, baby, I
Now,
haven't deleted that picture.
But
now, if you, okay, girls, fast girls, if you taking pictures, don't have your face in the picture.
That is so true. I never understood
And
that.
don't have a mark that's on your body that someone can identify in the picture.
like I know for a fact that's your tattoo.
Don't do that.
Absolutely.
Or you can't get mad if they, you know, I said you did it.
That was my thing. Even when I was younger, I was like, okay, if you're gonna do that, that's cool. Why is your face in the picture?
Don't have your face, you can, yeah, you know, yeah.
I can understand, all right, you're young and you're like, this is so fun, you know, doing whatever you gotta do, and then your
But
face and
protect yourself, that's all we're saying,
Yep.
protect yourself. So not that we're promoting, you know,
Right.
pictures, but
And be aware of the consequences too, like just know that this could get out to everyone you know, or just the
Everybody.
world in general.
He's not gonna delete it.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
that
he's
could
not
even
gonna
happen. That could even happen in this situation. I was
shut
talking
up.
about
No, you're just gathering
Yeah.
things that we could.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
You're just back
Well,
case.
I mean,
I mean, and in that case, probably, yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
like I said, I could understand in a long-term committed relationship where there's distance, but that is still a risk if someone gets
but
back.
you
You
kind
have
of
an
hit.
Italian boy running around with a naked
Yeah.
picture.
You hit the nail on the head though when you say hacked accounts, because a lot of times that's how those pictures get spread. Either
Those celeb
you-
accounts,
well, here's the
That was
thing.
crazy.
Here's the thing. You either break up with somebody and they get mad and spread those, or somebody hacks into your account and steals those pictures, and that's how they end up on these type of rings where it could ruin your life.
Like you said about the celebrities such as Jennifer Lawrence, and then like there was some other list of actors.
Yeah, there's a
actresses.
Yeah, everybody.
But it was just like, you
Oh,
know,
the leaked photos?
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
Yes,
that's
that-
what
that, that already lets you know how serious sexting is, because they're famous, they're wealthy, and they have their own careers, and the fact that that happens, and that lets you know that no one is safe, no one is safe at all. So to put yourself at risk, I mean, that's you, but just keep in mind of the consequences.
And the more popular you are, regardless of whether you're like a celebrity status or just in your local area, like people would mind having your personal stuff get out there. So.
I could do those too.
Taylor. Hey, you always gotta slide the extra in there.
Well, I mean, at that point, that's even, speaking of celebrities and stuff, that's even more, the onus is on them to keep their stuff private, because at that point, yes, you can hack into Facebook accounts and MySpace accounts and freaking Twitter accounts and all this kind of stuff, but it's very rare for somebody to literally hack into your own personal computer. Still what's on your desktop and stuff like that. So, in terms of like the social media thing, I'm not saying be more private in that, but be extremely aware and be more selective of what you post and what you put out there. Because a lot of times, if something like this happens, it could end up ruining your career, or it could be a disaster. Even if you're not in a career, it could be a disaster for your life, because it could turn a complete 180 into a southbound train that could take you to places that are unfathomable at this point. And that's one of the things too. With some of the, and also some of the emojis and stuff play into this.
House emojis are.
They are. And I kind of wanted to transition a little bit in here into what you guys think about the whole texting thing as well, and how we're becoming a more words on a screen type of society where everything is texting nowadays, and you hardly ever see or ever hear somebody picking up the phone and actually calling somebody.
It's gross.
It is. And see, one of my things to that is too, with a lot of the language that we have now, it's with the R as in R, you as in you, and all of this kind of stuff. To me, this is where I'm coming from with this. It's getting to a point to where our society, through that kind of stuff, is becoming diminished in a sense.
Or you rely on autocorrect.
But here's, and that's another thing.
And people don't know the difference between your, and your.
Exactly.
Or there.
Just to be devil's advocate for a minute. 10 years ago, when everybody was texting, everybody had a flip phone, you were paying like you had a word like a character limit, and you had to be R and U and all that short text. But yeah, 160 characters. But now that we have unlimited text and unlimited data plans, all that kind of stuff,
iMessaging.
there's no excuse for you not knowing how to have a grammatically correct sentence.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to do all those short things and spell cuz.
Now they're open up the dictionary.
Right. But I got to the point now where I text a lot. But I'm typing my words out, and I still call people. But like, this is my thing. If you're gonna call me and I don't answer, don't leave me a voicemail. Text me.
Any last thoughts, you guys, on this topic at all?
For texting, people, please, just limit the texting for a moment and just call, because you never know how much that call matters to someone. Because, yeah, you can text people, sure, yes, and all this, but the truth of the matter is, when you call whenever it's best to, it can mean that that person matters, and that is important.
Yeah, I think we've almost become afraid to call people, like we're taking up too much of their time or intruding. I agree with you, Jamie, that often that does mean a lot to people. I know it means a lot to me when people call, and so it's saying we should, step out and do a lot.
I was about to say,
Cause you're nasty.
but
That's why.
be aware of the consequences. Don't, and make sure that both parties are grown and responsible. So that's my final words. Like,
Don't be sexting a 16-year-old.
yeah, don't be 16 to 6.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. No,
And also with online dating, please be careful who you're dating online. Don't be crazy and just put everything out, Just really think logically when you put something on the phone, or you have this personal connection.
Taylor, do you have any last things to say?
I think you guys hit on everything I was gonna say.
Leandra?
No, I'm good.
One last thing I do want to reiterate before you go off the air is, y'all, when you're in these type of predicaments, please do your research into these, and especially with online dating, please do your homework beforehand, because that will save you a hell of a lot of trouble on the back end of it. And
Be your own Eve.
exactly. So, with that being said, Jamie, Jessica, Rashawn, Taylor, and Leandra, I'm Blake Collins, and we will see you guys next week.
I know.